to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing week wherever you are in this planet of ours. Isn't it great to be alive? I mean, you know, the changing of the seasons here in Australia, we're supposedly heading in towards spring and summer. It's actually been colder in the last couple of days than parts of winter. So, and I know the Northern Hemisphere has had a lot of rain and a lot of weather events, and our hearts go out to all those people that have got, you know, family in some of these tragedies that are unfolding around the world with earthquakes and flooding and things like that. It's a really, really difficult time, so we shall keep them in our prayers. This week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is one of the what's known as court cards. Now, court cards mean that it's a person card. We either have kings and queens or we have knights and pages. Now, in my version of the teaching of the tarot, I look at knights as being young men up to the age of 25 and pages being young women up to the age of 25. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that's my interpretation. And I've been working with the tarot for a very, very long time now, and that's what I found works. And, of course, kings and queens are men and women over the age of 25. Now, when I say up to the age of 25, it doesn't matter in a reading whether your son or daughter is over 25. In your eyes as a parent, they will always remain children, and they'll always come out as a knight or a page. That's just something to remember if you're working with a full deck of tarot cards. Anyway, the Knight of Pentacles, which is a young man up to the age of 25. Now, if we were looking at hair and eye colouring, we would be saying very dark hair, dark eyes, possibly olive skin or dark-skinned person, but that's not always the case. The secondary meaning of the page of the Knight of Pentacles is the fact that it's a visitor, and it can be somebody that has a message to share with you. Now, this doesn't mean this day and age it's got to be somebody that knocks on the door and drops in for a cup of coffee or a meal or a chat. We have visitors in many different forms, and that takes in all the forms of social media, of cell phones, of emails, of text messages, you know, and snail mail. It can be a message coming from somebody that doesn't reside with you. And this person has a message to share with you. Now, we're not saying, and it's an important message, we're not saying it's something that's life-changing. We're just mentioning here that there's a message or information that is going to be shared with you by another person. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a young man up to the age of 25. This is where tarot can become a little bit ambiguous. Cards can take on 2 or 3 separate meanings. The first meaning is potentially a young man. The second meaning is what I've described to you. So you make up your mind how it applies to you. For most of us, it'll just be a message of something that's going to put a smile on our dial this week that we'll be receiving from someone we care about. Now, astrologically, last week, I went into great depth about the 7 retrograde planets that were currently going retrograde or backwards in our solar system at the moment. They will be there from varying degrees until the end of the year. Now, I'm not going to recover that this week. If you want to go back and listen to my coverage on the 7 retrograde planets, please go back and look for last week's show where you'll find in great detail what that meant. I don't wish to go over it again today because we have important messages astrologically to talk about, and the retrograde stuff has already been covered. So we have it currently at the moment. We have the sun sitting in Virgo for the last week of Virgo energy for this year. So it's a really interesting time because Virgos this year have really found it been quite exhilarating. I mean, I've worked with a lot of Virgos in the last couple of weeks, and they've been saying to me they haven't felt so energized in a long time. They feel as if their thinking's very clear. They feel as if they're very much on track, setting goals that they haven't been able to do for a few years. It may be partly because we're, you know, at the other side of the COVID pandemic and people are starting to take more control of their lives and starting to feel as if they have a new direction. But it can just very well be because they've really been working hard on themselves and feel in a position of empowerment now. And well done you. If you're a Virgo and you're feeling that way, that's terrific. Keep up the good work because it's only just the beginning of your 12 months, and enjoy what's sort of actually happening in your lives at the moment. So we have the part of fortune, which is not necessarily where we're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but it's called an Arabian part. And what this does is it shows emphasis on what's actually happening around us at the moment. So the part of fortune is actually conjunct the sun in Virgo. So this is sort of what part of the reasons why Virgos are feeling a little bit more in control, a little bit more positive, starting to make plans for the future and looking very excited about where the next 12 months could take them, because they are really listening to their inner voice. They're being very aware, looking around for opportunities that may not have seemed to have been there previously, and starting to capitalize on them or working towards making these things a reality. Now, this is a very good sign for Virgos if you're really looking to sort of create something new in your life, or to expand your horizons, or change your job, or maybe increase your personal finances. Now is the time to start looking for those opportunities, with the part of fortune here conjunct the sun while it's sitting in Virgo. And while we're still on the subject of Virgo, the sun is also making a lovely aspect, which is known as a trine, which means it's somewhere around about the 120-degree mark in the next planet. And it's making this lovely configuration to Uranus in Taurus. Now, with Uranus being the planet of the unusual and the unexpected happenings, this is also adding weight to what I just spoke about with the part of fortune sitting in Virgo, that Uranus is creating opportunities that could seemingly come out of nowhere. Now, Uranus is currently retrograde at the moment and will be till much later in the year. So what it's sort of asking you to do is, if you get some sort of thought pattern or you get some sort of opportunity, yes, the breakthrough is there, but it may be slightly delayed, or you may have to work a little bit harder and dig a little bit deeper to be able to get the influence of Uranus. Uranus's job is to come in and tip everything upside down or create openings. It's not necessarily to bring you the reward. It's up to you to make the reward happen. So with Uranus sitting here making this lovely trine to your Virgo sun, it's asking you to look around, see what breakthroughs are coming out of nowhere. Is there something that someone has mentioned, or a thought pattern that you've had, or something that's been sitting on the shelf for a little while that you can bring forward now because it's the right time to start exploring and making decisions, or doing some research, making progress on where you want to be. It's really your time of the year, Virgo, and don't waste it. This energy won't be with you for much longer, another week to 10 days at the very maximum. So I don't want to see you waste what energy is there. Doesn't mean we've got to complete the task. It just means let's make a start on it. Let's start to sort of get it past just putting a couple of notes down in a bit of paper. Let's start some action with that. That's really, really important. And, we don't often get opportunities like this, and we shouldn't squander them or waste them. So, it's a very difficult time sometimes when we don't know which way to sort of step first. Sometimes I think we get frozen in fear with, oh, but how can that happen for me? Or how can I make that work for me? Sometimes we've just got to take the bit between our teeth and go for it. So that's what I'm suggesting you do, Virgos. We also have the planet of communication. Mercury has been sitting in Virgo now for a little while. And most people are aware that Mercury's been retrograde now for nearly 3 weeks. And, we're all holding our breath for Mercury to finish his retrograde process, which will be September 14. So we've only got a couple of days to go. And then we'll start to see Mercury sort of become stationary and move forward again. And, finally, then people will start to have their listening ears on. Communication will be a little bit easier. Our devices, all our cell phones and computers and laptops and tablets and all those sort of things will start to function a little bit better. But more importantly, I think we'll start to feel as if our thinking is a lot clearer, and that goes for all the 12 signs, not just Virgos. This particular Mercury retrograde has had its challenges. I've had a lot of people sort of saying to me they don't understand why they felt so restless. They can't sort of sleep. They can't seem to focus on things, because when Mercury is retrograde, it is slowing things down, and it's asking us to look at communication in a different way. But we also have to bring into mind what energy or what sign it's in. It's been in Virgo, so it's been asking us to slow down, to sort of look at our day-to-day lives. Is there things there that can be improved? How are we getting enough sleep? Are we getting enough rest? Are we getting enough work-life balance? Are we feeding ourselves nutritious food, or are we just grabbing something on the run and then wondering why we feel tired and lethargic? I think a lot of times people are so busy in their lives that they forget good nutrition doesn't really take a lot of extra time. It just takes a little bit of planning and, being organised. Make sure when you shop that you've got enough, nutritious food for the next week, that you can quickly put a meal together and take it to work with you, or grab a snack on the go that is not high in calories but high in nutrition. So it's a time where, that's why if your energy levels have been a little bit low during this Mercury retrograde, maybe it's been asking you to revamp your eating habits and making sure that your lifestyle is in balance. We have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is sitting in Leo at the moment. Now, Venus loves being in Leo, even though it doesn't rule Leo. It loves being there because it loves to show off. Venus loves to show off the pretty things in life, the nice things in life, anything that you value, that you feel, that makes you look better. It's a nice outfit or a nice suit or a nice top, and you sort of put it on and you feel like $1,000,000. Well, Venus loves that because it loves the ability to be able to sort of showcase all the pretty things in life. So Venus is feeling quite comfortable sitting in Leo at the moment. For some people, it might feel as if, you know, too many people around them are showing off a little bit too much and they don't wish to compete. That's okay, as long as you feel comfortable in yourself. And this particularly goes for Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, and of course Aquarius. The other signs maybe not quite so much. So if you're one of the fire signs, it's time to really stretch your stuff and sort of get the world looking at you, because the world is taking notice of who you are and how you're presenting yourself at the moment. So put your best face forward and put some nice outfits on if you're going out the door, and make sure that when people notice you, they notice you for the right reasons. At the moment, we also have the moon in Leo. So for those people that have moon in Leo in their charts, it's a time when you need to be very aware that your emotions can be very amplified. It can be a time where you really do want to sort of get your message across, particularly if it's an emotional issue. And, fortunately, the moon only stays in a sign for 2.5 days. So the moon moves fairly quickly. Otherwise, our emotions would get very, very bogged down. So it's good to know that we've still got, opportunities coming up in our lives. We've still got Saturn in Pisces retrograde at the moment. We also have Neptune retrograde in Pisces. We have Pluto still sitting in Capricorn. So there's, the slower moving planets haven't really sort of progressed much or moved very much. But I know I constantly talk about Pluto on the show because Pluto has had such a major influence on us because it moves so slowly. And Pluto is winding up his time in Capricorn. He will only be there till the beginning part of 2024. So this is where we're going to see a lot of world events and things coming out of nowhere, so to speak, as the final stages of it being in Capricorn. Pluto is definitely retrograde at the moment in Capricorn. So we're seeing big business, governments, things like that going through shake-ups. We're seeing people jockeying for position. We're seeing world leaders getting together and having conferences and meetings and things like that. Some people will approve of what's happening and other people will disapprove. It's not for me to say what's right or wrong, and it's not for me to say what's right or wrong on an astrological level. Just know that people need to sort of get out there. There needs to be conversations. There needs to be meetings. There needs to be a real clarity on where nations stand and who they might form their alliances with and what they're actually working on. And hopefully they're working on some climate change issues, which I will be quite vocal about. We've only got to look at the weather events that are happening around the world. They're not just a 1 in 100-year flood or a 1 in 100-year earthquake or a bushfire or a fire. These are happening all too frequently. We're having a tremendous loss of life, as well as, the ability for people to rebuild their lives again. Their homes are destroyed, their habitats are destroyed, and it takes a long time to rebuild a community after an earthquake or a fire or a flood. And, it displaces a lot of people, and it's a very expensive, costly exercise for the whole of the nation. So we really do need to start looking at climate change and start taking it seriously and start looking at what we can individually do as individuals, just changing some little habits like mentioning when you go and buy something that you don't require all this plastic packaging and pins and boxes and whatever. Let's get back to some more simplistic forms. We don't need some shiny, expensive packaging to make us buy a shirt or to buy a pair of jeans or something like that. We can go back to the days where we put it in a paper bag and took it home. So maybe just, manufacturers will take notice if we all start to mention these sort of things and start to say no to plastics and, start getting back to some more natural things. I know there's a big shift here in Australia where we're going away from plastic cutlery and utensils and plastic bags when you shop and things like that. And it's nice to see, recyclable opportunities coming up that, we're not going backwards in that way. We're using things that are either renewable or going back to paper bags and things like that you can compost or they can be recycled. So the world is changing and we need to keep it up. We're going to talk with Heather in Winnipeg in Manitoba in Canada. Are you there, Heather?
I am.
Manitoba. I'm sorry I pronounced the name of your location wrong, Heather. How can I help you today? Do you have a question I can work for with you?
I do. I just lost my dad, and I'm just wondering. We're dealing
Oh,
with a situation since his passing, and I'm just wondering whether I'm on the right path, doing what he wanted me to do.
okay, Heather. Look, it's always difficult when you lose somebody that you're close to. And I mean, we all live in a society where we know that we're going to lose our parents at some stage, and we prepare the best we can, but it still comes as a shock when the time comes. First thing I will say to you that your dad is very, 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 very happy with what you're orchestrating on his behalf. He couldn't be prouder of how you're handling things. I know that you've had your sad times, and I know that you've had your times of frustration as well, and other people don't seem to have their listening ears on and aren't cooperating quite as easily as what you think they should be. But that, I suppose, is their journey. But as far as handling his affairs and handling what he left behind that he wanted you to deal with, yes, he's extremely happy. It's interesting because he's not giving me a lot of anything about how he passed or anything like that. He just wanted you to know that he's proud of you, and that he gave me a beautiful oversized pink heart. So that usually means that, that's them sending their love. So was his death sort of sudden? Because I just sort of felt as if it was abrupt.
It was. He had cancer, and then it went into remission. And then when it came back, it was a very quick passing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. He didn't share with me anything. It was just the way that he spoke about it to me. I felt as if it was abrupt, it was here 1 minute, gone the next sort of thing, very quick. So, yeah. And I mean, look, that I think is probably harder to deal with when you think somebody's beaten it and then it comes back and it takes them quickly, because you're not as prepared for it as you were the first time round, where, you went through all the agonizing treatments and everything like that and the not knowing, and then to have it beaten it and then for it to come back so quickly, I think it takes your breath away. It takes you by surprise. So, but look, sweetie, he's not unhappy with anything that you're doing. Is there a male person around you that's caused you some sort of aggravation over this?
Not a male, no, a female.
I've got a male energy, and I don't know how to interpret that. Your dad is sort of gone now. He's not giving me anything more about it, but I just felt this was a very male, sort of bombastic, bossy type of energy. That's why I thought it was male.
Well, there is one person who is not really giving any feedback that's negative or anything, but there is a male in this part of the situation.
Right. Okay. Maybe what your dad was sharing with me is maybe you've got to think like a man. Do you know what I mean? Like, be forthright, take charge, to sort of move forward that way. Maybe that's what he was meaning by that.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah, because it was just an energy I got. He didn't give me anything else other than an energy, and I just assumed it was meaning a man because of the energy, the way it came through. It was sort of like, let's be very bossy, forthright, determined, plow through this, take no prisoners with you, just keep focused, and I'm not saying women can't be strong and dynamic, they can be, but we tend to think of that sort of more bossy, bombastic sort of behavior coming from a man. They call it that macho sort of energy. It's sort of like you've got to adopt that, and I think once you do that, you'll be able to move through whatever it is that you've got the blockage on at the moment.
Okay. Makes sense.
So I hope that's helped you, Heather, because it's, it's still very difficult for your dad to sort of come through with any terrific sort of message. I mean, there's no timetable at how quickly somebody can come through, or even if they want to come through. Sometimes we here left on earth think that, well, of course they want to speak to us. Well, yes, they do, but they don't always want to do it in a public forum either, or, they can feel a little bit self-conscious, or maybe didn't believe in this sort of thing when they were here on earth. So there's a number of varying reasons why we might only get a limited message or no message at all, but he did come through. It was strong, and he was certainly, his major objective was to show me the pink heart he was giving you. That was his major thing. He just wanted you to know he still loves you, and he's so proud of you. So that was his most important thing to him, where to you it was sort of like making sure that you're honouring his wishes. Well, he wasn't I'm not saying he wasn't worried about that, but there was nothing there that you were doing that he wasn't happy with. His major concern was for you to know that he's still there, he loves you, and he's so proud of you, and, you know, he just wanted to express that. So I hope that's some comfort to you, Heather.
Very nice.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave Heather now. We're going to talk with Alison in Aurora in Colorado. Are you there, Alison?
Yes, I sure am. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Alison. Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Yes, I just want to know if I have anybody on the other side that want to give me any messages.
Okay, Alison. They don't always necessarily come through with a message because we want them to. I mean, we all have people on the other side that look after us. My belief is that they're usually passed over relatives because that's where the emotional connection is. That, you know, I believe that, you know, we tend to sort of group together like that. Somebody that didn't know us personally, why would they be taking an interest in our lives and sort of making sure that we're on the right path? I can assure you there's a number of people that are taking care of you on the other side. And it's sort of like it's very busy and chaotic there, as if, you know, there's a lot of them jockeying for position, trying to sort of get through. So is your life feeling quite chaotic at the moment? Is there a lot of things going on?
They're just, I'm not sure how, you know, I want to proceed with our family business. We kind of want to change businesses and, you know, get into something more humanitarian work, stuff like that.
Yeah, but that would explain why it's so chaotic on the other side, because I don't think it's just one or two family members that have passed over that are trying to help you. It's like the whole crowd is there and everybody's got an opinion and everybody's sort of saying, but I've got the answer, and someone else is saying, no, I've got the answer. And it's like, that's why I thought your life might have been a little bit chaotic at the moment, where everybody's trying to chime in. Normally it's sort of, if you were, say, going to buy a motor car and Uncle Jim was the car dealer, he would be the one that would step forward and would guide you in that process. And the same if, you know, Auntie Mary was the dressmaker and you needed a new dress, she would be the one that would step forward. But at the moment, they were all sort of pushing and shoving, trying to step forward with all having these great ideas. So I do feel over the next couple of months, you will start to sort of formulate a plan for where you want to take the business or what sort of work that you would like to get into next. I'm not seeing any massive change till early part of 2024. The next few months is about gathering ideas, gathering thought patterns, looking at the prospect of things. I'm not even sure that you're going to completely let go of the business that you've got. I think it's going to be something that over time, I think will adapt to a different way of doing things, or the business itself will take on a different direction, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily sort of saying that you've got to completely give up what you're doing. I think it's going to be, we're going to overlap it with other things that eventually the business itself will take a different direction and will become more of where you need to be going. I think it's admirable that you're looking at a humanitarian side of things or wanting to give back to the community more, but I think there also still needs to be a focus on that you've got to give to you and your family as well. You know, we can't swing the pendulum too much the other way. I think sometimes, Alison, you tend to sort of take on board something and you go to the extreme or you take it to the edge. This is not the time to sort of do that. It's like we've got to bring everything into balance. So has there been a move of residence? Because they keep showing me a question mark around where you're living.
No, there hasn't. I mean, we do want to move, but of course now isn't the time to do that.
No. Well, it's certainly going to come up for discussion again. That explains why I saw the question mark around where you're living. But I think when we get to say this time next year, I think it'll be more reasonable to say we know exactly where we can go on that front as well. You know, 2024 is going to be a year of sort of change, but not necessarily bringing all the changes in at once. It's going to be a time of exploring and looking and analysing and sort of saying, well, yes, now we can bring that forward. No, that's a great idea, but we'll put that on the back burner for a little while. The timing's not quite right. I'm not sure that there's going to be a move next year. I'd be sort of more inclined to say towards the end of 2025. And I know that sounds a long way off, but I think the next couple of years is going to be busy sort of changing the business and where the direction of the business is going. It's sort of, slowly but surely we'll peel back some of it and add new layers in a different direction, more the direction that you want to go. So I think it's actually a very exciting time, Alison. It's sort of like, this isn't something I think you got out of bed this morning and thought about. This has been sort of slowly percolating away for a fair while now, a good 18 months to 2 years. It's been slowly building momentum, has it not?
Yes, it has. We kind of wanted to go into the direction of hiring and like taking in like immigrant families and,
right.
Just kind of helping them get set up with
right.
like this type of business that we have.
Yeah, look, I think it's all feasible, but I think it's going to be a slow grow to get to that point, Alison. So, and you need income coming in at the same time to finance all this. That's why I don't think you're going to completely walk away from the current business. I think the two of them can run simultaneously. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave Alison now. We've come to the end of the show. As each week I try and bring you a song that has had some sort of influence in my life in the last week, or a song that I particularly like, or a song that I think that you might gain something out of. And this week I've chosen a song by a former American, and his name was Erwin Thomas in America. He's a great singer, songwriter, guitarist. Here in Australia, he has a stage name called Jack Jones, and I first saw Jack Jones perform many, many, many years ago as part of a backup band called Southern Sons here in Australia at a concert that I was at. And Jack Jones has gone on to sing some amazing songs. But there's been one song all the way through his career that I think has been synonymous with him, and I want to share that with you today. And it's called Hold Me in Your Arms. It's a beautiful love song. It's a song that's gone through the ages, and it's, a song that Jack sung over 20 years ago now, and I still see him singing it at concerts and things like that. It's a really beautiful love song. So for everybody out there that's in love or just likes a good old-fashioned sing-along and likes a nice love song, it's Hold Me in Your Arms by Southern Sons or Jack Jones. So until next week, enjoy your week. Bye for now.